Wait a minute.
Do you know which one it's in now? Oh, really? Are we on?
Yeah, we're on.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Football Philosophy channel. Sorry for the delayed start, we're having a few technical issues. I suppose we got just the green screen behind me, have we?
Yeah.
We've just got the green screen behind me, which we've only just put up in the last day or so. And we do, I don't know what we're doing exactly, computer-wise and camera-wise, but we're having a few technical issues. And I've been sat here since 4:02 waiting for it to start, but we just got it going. So I hope everybody can hear me. Is anybody watching already, or can anybody speak anybody answer in the comments?
The Red Devils and Bill and Gil are both in the...
Yeah, can you hear me? Everybody hear me alright? I hope so anyway. So I'll make a start because obviously we're a little bit late. The team news will be out before I get through all this. But as I always do, so I'll speak quickly. I've had a look at 4 different newspapers to see what they predicted. The Evening Standard and the Independent have gone with the exact same team, which is interesting. David De Gea, Axel Tuanzebe, Bailey, Maguire and Telles. I'll be surprised myself if Telles starts. I think Shaw had a great game at the weekend, and I know it was only on Saturday, but I think he's going to want to keep a solid back 4. But the Evening Standard and the Independent have gone with De Gea, Axel, Bailey, Maguire, Telles. They've gone with Pogba and Matic. Then they've gone with Bruno at 10 and Greenwood, Greenwood, Cavani and Marshall. That's the Evening Standard and the Independent. The Mirror have gone with De Gea in goal, Axel, Bailey, Maguire and Shaw. Looks like they all seem to think Axel's going to play. McTominay and Fred, they've said, the Mirror said they fancied McTominay and Fred to start. Bruno at number 10 and Greenwood, Cavani and Rashford. So no Anthony Marshall in the Mirror's line-up. Rashford seemed to work his shoulder towards the end of the game the other week. I would have thought Marshall, I'd pick Marshall in front of Rashford anyway. But I would have thought with Rashford having that slight niggle with his shoulder and he's just aggravated a little bit, I would have thought a bit of perfect.
Because that might consider that might be better, isn't it?
It's on the light on.
No, you got that on, yeah.
It's on, yeah. Is that okay? Shall I carry on?
Yeah, go.
As I am,
Yeah.
So I would have thought it was a perfect opportunity to give Rashford a rest. As I say, he got that his shoulder towards the end, and he has had a problem with that shoulder. But the Mirror have got him in the lineup. The Manchester Evening News, that's always one of my favourite ones. Obviously, being the local newspaper, you think they've got links, and it's completely different to the other ones. They've gone with De Gea in goal, Axel, Bailey, Maguire, and Telles, so the same back 4. As the Independent and the Evening Standard, but then they've got Pogba, Matic and Van der Beek in midfield. They're the only one with Van der Beek in the lineup, and then obviously they've got, I'd say obviously it's not really obvious. Bruno's obvious, I suppose, at number 10, and Greenwood and Marshall, the Manchester Evening News, have gone with up top, which. They're the only one. Only the Evening News has got Van der Beek in the lineup. When's Van der Beek going to get a run? He's got to get a run soon, surely. As I did last week, I've looked at 4 newspapers there. 6 players are in the lineup in all 4 of those newspapers. De Gea, Axel Tuanzebe, Bailey, Maguire, Greenwood, that surprises me, and Bruno. All 6 of those players are in every newspaper as to be in the starting lineup.
Team's out now.
And here's the team news. Let's be having it. Let's flip the paper over.
De Gea, Bailey, Maguire,
yeah,
Telles and Bissaka.
Telles, yeah.
Pogba, Matic,
yeah,
Fernandes,
yeah,
Greenwood, Rashford, Cavani.
Greenwood, Rashford and Cavani.
So he's dropped Marshall.
He's Marshall. Have you got the
Marshall's on the bench, yeah.
Greenwood, Cavani and Rashford.
Henderson, Shaw, Tuanzebe, Fred, Mata, McTominay, James, Van der Beek, Marshall.
So Marshall's on the bench. Mata, I'm interested to see, is on the bench. I noticed Mata was missing off the bench for the last 2 games. Having been on the bench virtually every game, so I don't know if he's been injured, but I'm glad he's back. So Mata's on the bench. Anthony Marshall dropped, as we've just spoken about. Rashford seemed to hurt his shoulder towards the end of the game. I'm not happy with that one little bit. I'm really not. Greenwood and Rashford on the flanks. I don't think Cavani's going to be too happy either. I don't think he's going to get much service. I think it's going to be a really difficult evening for Cavani there if he's waiting for crosses coming into the box. So most of the papers, everybody had Axel at right back. So obviously Wan-Bissaka's back. Bailey, Maguire and Telles. So a couple of the papers had that right, a couple wrong. A couple had Shaw in. I thought Shaw would have played. But Telles is playing. Pogba and Matic in the middle. So that's the same as played at Goodison, the midfield pairing. So he seems to have them down as a pairing, doesn't he? He's got McTominay and Fred playing in a league. Well, I know this is a league game tonight, but they played in the league at the weekend, and in the cup last week it was Pogba and Matic, and now tonight it's Pogba and Matic again. You can't really. They're all tough games. I wouldn't, despite Leicester doing well in the league. If Leicester, Wolves and Everton were in a three-way tournament, I wouldn't like to have my money on who'd win it. I think they're all dead evenly matched teams. So I don't think you could say he's got McTominay and Fred in the toughest game just because Leicester happen to be a point above us. I really don't think you can see it that way. Like Everton beat Leicester, for example, only about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So it's interesting. It's just swapping them about. It's almost, it's one thing resting people, but it's almost like he can't make his mind up as far as I'm concerned. What do you think?
I mean, people don't seem particularly happy. Marshall not being in the team, people are unhappy about.
Yeah.
No quality for Cavani, says the Red Devils. Going to real struggle.
Yeah. Agree with you.
Keane Quinn, very, very attacking. I'm not sure if Keane means that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah.
Jack Berrans seems to think that it's a side full of quality.
Right.
I've got to say I'm concerned with it. I'm concerned. Greenwood, Rashford and Bruno all playing just behind Cavani.
Yeah.
And then Pogba as one of your midfield too as well. He's not the most disciplined with his positional sense against a well-drilled, organised Wolves side. I think the writing's on the wall.
Yeah. Can you bring the Wolves team up? Have you got it?
Yeah, I'll get the Wolves team, yeah.
Yeah, I've got to be honest, I'm not happy with it one little bit. I don't think Greenwood's been playing particularly well. He had a good game against City, but it's a different type of game against City, and he was given a specific job to do. I'm sure a lot of people probably thought he didn't play that well against City because he didn't get any shots in, and he wasn't taking people on and trying to get shots in from the edge of the box. But I was impressed with his discipline against City. He was given that job to do, shoring up the right-hand side, and I thought he did it well. But even though Wolves are a good side as well, I don't think he'll have been told to play like that tonight. This is a different type of game altogether. And, we've got Greenwood, Cavani and Rashford all playing and Anthony Marshall on the bench. And despite the fact, I know how good Cavani is at scoring. I know the record that he's got. Marshall's hold-up play is vital to us. I'm not saying Cavani's isn't good, but for me, Marshall is easily the pick of the 4 forwards. Easily the pick. And to have, to me, we've got our best player on the bench, our best attacking player on the bench, and then 3 others up, and then 3 others playing up front.
So Wolves have made a couple of changes. So the way that they've got it lined up on their website is like a back 3 of Kilman, Cody, and Sace.
Yeah.
And then a midfield 4. I suppose it's supposed to be like wing backs with Hueva from the right, Moutinho and Neves in the middle, and Ain't Nori from the left. And then a front 3 of Adama from one side, Vitinha from the other, and Neto up front.
Right. Neto, yeah.
I suspect it'll be more like
Who's the central striker there?
Neto, they've got it lined up with.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I suspect it'll be more like a 5-4-1 though than it will be like how they've lined it up, like a 3-4-3. Yeah. It'll be practically a back 5, and then a midfield 4 with Vitinha from one side, Neves, Moutinho in the middle, and Adama from the right, and then Neto up front on his own. The way that they line it up on screen, though, it makes it look particularly attacking, and everyone thinks they've got loads of forwards out in the lineup, and that's just not the case.
Yeah, it's going to be a very tricky game. So they've got Adama Traore playing on the right, and we've brought Telles into the team. So Telles has got his hands full. He's not. I don't think Ollie's doing Telles many favours. But I've had it off a few people on Twitter today. Naming somebody. The Green Devil on Twitter, he put up what his favourite team would be for next season or after the window if we signed a couple of players. So there's a couple of players in that lineup that are not even United players in it, but he had Telles in it at left back, and it caused a bit of a stir by saying, I don't think Telles is going to get in front of Shaw. How can he get in front of Shaw? I think Shaw's the stronger player for me. And lo and behold, here we are tonight. They've got Adama Traore playing on the right, and we've give Telles it's proper throwing him in the deep end. I'll make a prediction now. I'll write this down so I don't forget. I'll make a prediction now that is Luke Shaw on the bench.
Luke Shaw was on the bench, wasn't he? I think, yeah.
If Luke Shaw's on the bench, I will say that Telles won't last any more than 70 minutes. There's my prediction. So we'll have a look at that later.
Yeah, Shaw on the bench, yeah.
Is anybody asking any questions there worth to have a go at?
Let's have a look. More comments to comment on. Yeah, Sean Brennan, Tellers will need to be more disciplined up against Traore. I remember last season versus Wolves, Shaw had him in his pocket.
Yeah, I think Shaw's fantastic. I really do. I can't speak too highly of him. I hear a lot of people saying, yeah, but Tellers can get forward, he can do this. I think, look, if you can bring that to your armoury, if you can get good crosses in, if you can score goals as a full-back, if you look at Liverpool's full-backs, but it's horses for courses. You've got to build a team, and you've got to have a team that's dominating football games like Liverpool do. I know they've got injuries at the minute. They're not quite on song at the moment. But for a couple of seasons, Liverpool have dominated teams week in, week out. When you're dominating teams week in, week out, your two full-backs, it's important that they can get forward. That's part of the reason that you're dominating the game. And the quality players, and they make chances for the other players. When you're not dominating games, your defensive capabilities are they're not probably more important. They are more important. There's no point having two full-backs who are brilliant going forward if they ain't brilliant defensively when you're not dominating games completely, like Liverpool do. And I mean completely, when the opposition can hardly get out of their own half for minutes and minutes on end. That's when you need your full-back, the quality of your full-back to be in the attacking third. So Liverpool can afford that. We can't afford that. So tonight, look, we probably won't get pinned back very often, but even if Wolves will have times in the game where they pin us back, but they'll also have times when they break away. And under both circumstances, Traore is going to be a difficult opponent, whether they've got us pinned back or whether they're playing on the break. So he's going to have his hands full.
Lawrence Hughes makes an interesting point here. He says, both Wolves' fullbacks are very inexperienced. The right wing-back is making his first start in professional football. Right. The left wing-back has only played 30 games of football, most in France. Right. So it'd be very interesting to see how they do against Rashford and Greenwood. Yeah. If they don't get any change out of them, that either means that Wolves' two novice fullbacks are world beaters, or Greenwood and Rashford shouldn't really be playing for us. It's one or the other.
They've got to take them to the cleaners.
They've got to take them to the cleaners.
So if Rashford's on the left, he's playing against a right back making his debut.
Yes.
Rashford's got to absolutely rip him to pieces.
He's got to take him to pieces.
Yeah.
He's got to take him to pieces.
Right. I'll make a note of that. Rashford against a debutant. How old is he? Did it say how old he is, that kid?
He's not said how old he is, no, but thanks for that comment anyway. That was
that's a belter.
Yeah, that was from who was it? That was from Lawrence Hughes. That.
Thank you, Lawrence.
A couple of people talking about how by the way, what's Donny got to do for a game?
Oh, Van der Beek, I know.
He cannot get a look in, can he?
No, Van der Beek cannot get a look in. Cannot. Something else that I speak about a lot, just while you're looking for the next question or the next comment, something else I speak about a lot is us having too many attacking players in our lineup. And when I say that, a lot of people pull me up on it. As somebody said to me today or yesterday on Twitter, have a look at the team that won the Champions League for us in Moscow. The Champions League team in Moscow, it did have three forwards in it, but the three forwards were Tevez and Rooney and Ronaldo. It's a little bit different to Greenwood, Rashford and Cavani. I shouldn't really maybe you could put Cavani in that category, but Greenwood and Rashford are absolutely nowhere near being in that category, are they? No. Of Ronaldo and Rooney and Tevez. So, maybe they're also not in the same category as Mane, Salah and Firmino. So Liverpool are playing supposedly with 3 forwards. That's how they always put it on the screen on Sky, but I know how you think about it. Mane and Salah, whenever there's defending to do, they're in 4-5-1.
But what's so misleading for people is that they spend so little time in a defensive shape because they're so good at keeping possession.
Yeah.
We're constantly exposed of having 3 attackers, not only because we're picking number 9s in the wide positions as opposed to more midfield type players in the wide positions, but also because we turn over possession so frivolously in our front 6. We don't get chance to build the play and camp out in their half anyway.
We lose the ball too easily, don't we?
Yeah.
Certain players do anyway.
Yeah.
I agree. So tonight we've got, you see, Greenwood and Rashford. I know I've just spoken about Greenwood's discipline against City, but I'm sure he was actually specifically told to do that job. And I don't think of course he will have been reminded about his defensive duties, but I don't think it will have been drummed into him like it would be against City, like almost saying to him, only go forward when the opportunity's there. If they won't say it like that today, they'll be saying, make sure you get back behind the ball when we haven't got it. And that's 2 different things. It's 2 completely different things. And I just think tonight with Greenwood, Cavani and Rashford, and the way Bruno's been playing lately, he's almost playing as a second centre-forward for long periods of the games. I think we could come under extreme pressure. And I'll tell you something else. There's been people onto me sort of saying McTominay and Matic played in midfield together in Leipzig. Well, they did, but we played 5 at the back and we played 3 up front. There was only 2 men in midfield for long periods. I know Bruno, everybody thinks he's a midfield player, but he's a proper attacking number 10. He's like a second centre-forward. So in Leipzig, we only had 2 men in midfield. If those 2 men in midfield were, I don't know, N'Golo Kante and what's he called, the Partey is he called, who plays for Arsenal now.
If it was Vieira and Petit.
If it was Keane and Vieira, they'd struggle. So you can't just have 2 men in midfield. It's ridiculous. Yeah. So I don't know what it is, but McTominay and Matic got a game together, but he didn't play anybody else in midfield that day. Now, if Bruno spends too much time forward tonight, which I think he will when we get the chance to be forward, I think we'll find we've only got Pogba and Matic in the midfield again, and they might well get rings run round them, but they wouldn't be getting rings run round them if the 2 wingers were proper midfield players who were back behind the ball, keeping the team shape.
Oisin Fortune here has mentioned this a couple of times now, saying if we had a world-class defensive midfielder, we wouldn't have the problem with having too many attackers in the side.
Doesn't work like that, Oisin. Doesn't work like that. If by world-class, I'll think of the best one I can think of, Roy Keane. If we had Roy Keane, like when Roy Keane played, I've hardly seen a better player than Roy Keane. It's all simple stuff, but he's so determined. Simple stuff, but getting it right time after time.
Taking pride in the simple things, the amount of care over a 3, 4, 5 yard pass.
Exactly. So, when we had Keane, there's never been, as far as I'm concerned, there's never been a better central defensive midfield player. But when we didn't have the ball, Scholes was next to him. To his right, he had Beckham. To the left, they had Giggs. Anybody who's old enough, I'm not sure how old you are, Oisin, obviously. Anybody who's old enough, I've said this before, that midfield rolls off the tongue. They used to get, even though people remember Beckham and Giggs for being able, obviously Beckham for crossing, Giggs for dribbling, they get remembered for those things. But whenever you say to anybody who's old enough, what was United's midfield that won the treble, they'll say Beckham, Keane, Scholes and Giggs. They won't just say Beckham and Scholes. It's 4 men. 4 men. So if we had one proper defensive midfield player today, and it was Roy Keane, it'd be no good. It'd be no good if he was playing with Greenwood on one flank and Rashford on the other, and Bruno at number 10. You've got to have solid shape. You need players around you. One good defensive midfield player doesn't make a difference.
There's a comment here from Bogdan, and it feeds into the thing we've just spoke about Liverpool. So Bogdan said, I'd like an analysis of Bayern from Rick. They play 4 attacking players just like us. They don't. They play just like Liverpool play. They play Coleman and Gnabry on the flanks. Yeah. They're playing 4 Really, they're playing 4-5-1, not 4-2-4.
Yes, they don't spend enough time defending for you to be able to see.
You
because
don't-
they're dominating the game so much, they're in their half all the time. If they lose the ball, I will watch Bayern's next game. If it doesn't clash with something else I've got to watch, I'll watch Bayern's next game. And I'll make a note of that now so that I can speak about it. Who's asking that question?
So that was for Bogdan.
Bogdan. I'm going to try and watch Bayern's next game. I really am. And I'm going to speak about it. And it's about the team shape. And I'm sure that I'll come on here next week and say every time Bayern were defending, the two wingers were back behind the ball. I'm sure I will. Just sidetracking a tiny little bit. I didn't see the game, but I read somewhere that Leroy Sané came on as a sub and got subbed for Bayern last week.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think he got on and got half an hour. And
I wonder if that's because he wasn't taking his defensive responsibility
He wasn't getting back
seriously.
behind the ball. Yeah, it might have been. It might have been. Right, anything else?
Ricky, do you think Marshall is better than Firmino?
It's a great question. It is a great question. I think Anthony Marshall...
That's Sudansu who's asked that.
I think
Sudansu.
I think Anthony Marshall is one of only about, 2 or 3 players in United's team who would have a chance of getting in Liverpool's team when they're at full strength, of course. I mean, at the minute, not beating West Brom at home, they had a couple of youngsters playing in the side. Even though they've already got injuries, I noticed, I didn't watch that game, I managed to catch the last 10 minutes of it. Switched it on when I knew West Brom had equalised. But even though they've got injuries in defence, even during that game, was it Matip, I think? I noticed that they had to bring a young lad on at centre-back that game during the game, even though they were already under strength. So they have got problems at the minute, fitness-wise. But players from our team, if Liverpool are at full strength, I believe if Anthony Marshall took Firmino's place, look, it's like clockwork the way Liverpool play. They've all got their own jobs, they all know what they're doing, and they all fit together like a jigsaw. So any player going into that team would have to learn. I know they just signed a fantastic player, Thiago, absolutely fantastic. But I don't think he's a shoo-in for a starting place in the lineup. I think he's another injury problem at the minute, to be honest. But when they signed him, as great a player as he was, just been playing for Bayern, just won the European Cup, we didn't go straight in the team. He was on the bench to start with. Whether he'd be in the team now or not, I don't know. As I say, he's injured. But I believe Marshall can do that same job that Firmino can do. But he would have to learn the Liverpool way. He'd have to learn Klopp's way. And he would have to get used to playing with those teammates. But I do believe he can do the things that Firmino does, really do. And I also believe he's at least as good a finisher. He's missed a couple recently, Marshall. People are probably coming in the comments and say, look at the one he missed against Leeds. Look at the one he missed against West Brom. Look, they all miss chances. But I believe Marshall playing in that team, he got 23 goals in all competitions last season. I think he'd get 33 goals if he was playing for them. I really do.
There's someone in the comments here called Helena Peach.
Helena.
So Helena seems to think that your philosophy is similar to that of Pulis and Big Sam. Football has evolved since that era of football. And also goes on to say that Mata is a bench player.
Mata is a bench player? A bench player for who? Barcelona and Real Madrid. Is my philosophy the same as Pulis and Big Sam? No, I wouldn't say it was. To be dead honest, as much as everybody talks about it, I've never sat down with Big Sam. I'm sure the size of the clubs that Big Sam manages to get to manage, they have to set themselves up. Well, every team's got to set themselves up sensibly. Every team has. But if you're a smaller club like West Brom and they just got a point at Anfield, I just said I didn't watch that game, by the way, but from all reports that I read, they were saying that they deserved their equaliser. Don't know if you read anything about it. They deserved their equaliser and were never out of that game. But that's just a one-off game. Big Sam is used to running teams that are scrapping for every point. So whether Big Sam had played in the same manner if he happened one day to be the manager of Manchester United or Liverpool, we'll probably never know, will we? If I was the manager of West Brom, by the way, I would play 5 at the back, 4 in midfield and 1 up front. And I'd hope to get a point from every game that we played, and then the occasional 3 points from nicking a goal, winning a free kick round the halfway line, being able to load the box with the tall players, and just building forward and just. Obviously, when I say hope, obviously you're just hoping to nick one, but you're going to have plans, you're going to have time to work on the training field on getting the ball into the box to a certain player, heading it into the box. When you work on set pieces, what a lot of people don't realise is the massive advantage you've got over the opponents. And it is a massive advantage. If your players are all switched on and you've got a signal that means, I don't know, let's use United players for example. Say we've got Maguire and Lindelof and Matic. Matic is 6'4".
West Brom are currently 4-0 down, by the way,
to
Leeds.
There you go. So you're working on set pieces. So let's say I'm taking a free kick. If I put my left hand up, it means it's going to Matic. If I put my right hand up, it means it's going to Maguire. If I don't put any hand up and I just bounce the ball and put it down, it means McTominay's 6. I'm aiming for McTominay. So your teammates have all got to be on the ball. They've all got to be switched on. And then you've got an advantage over the opponents. You know who the ball's being aimed at. And it's his job to head it back down into the box. So if Maguire's at the near post, it'd be a flick on for him, or if McTominay's at the back post, you know where the ball is going. So before the kick is even taken, you can be gravitating towards that particular area where the second ball, they call it the second ball, where the second ball is going to come to. So that advantage you've got is massive. It's absolutely massive. And if you work on it, you can get goals from it. You really can.
But those are the nuances that you work on, aside from your core philosophy. Your core philosophy is possession-based football. It's get the ball and keep it circulating and keep moving. And this is the same philosophy that has been utilised by Louis van Gaal. He's implemented that. He's used that at Barcelona. Pep Guardiola has then taken that and brought it over to Bayern Munich. It's the same football that's played at Bayern Munich, the same football that's played at City. Klopp has replicated it. It's all kind of Dutch-inspired football, which is where your philosophy has originally come from.
Where it all starts from. Possession-based football. A lot of people think it's boring. I see people on Twitter, too many sideways passes, too many backwards passes. It's better to pass it sideways than to hit a long, hopeful ball that just gives possession back to them, especially against the top. Well, not really especially against the top sides. Especially against the top sides, because once they've got it, you might not get it back for a long time. That they're going to play like against Liverpool or against City, or if you were still in the Champions League, by the way, maybe if they played like I wanted to play, we'd still be in the Champions League. But if you were to draw Bayern Munich in the Champions League, they are going to play in that manner. They're not going to hit long, hopeful balls. They're going to pass it sideways if there isn't a forward ball on. They're going to pass it backwards if there isn't a sideways ball on. Do not give the ball away cheaply is the golden rule. That's how the top teams play. We're not playing enough like a top team. We're really not.
The Red Devils, Rick, have you watched Bissouma? He looks fantastic. Strong passer, wins headers.
What's that game doing? Can you check that out? Arsenal are playing Brighton, aren't they, in a minute? I put a tweet
1-0 Arsenal at the minute.
Is it?
Yeah.
I put a tweet out about Bissouma the other day. I've watched him 2 or 3 times. I think he's absolutely awesome. I wouldn't be surprised.
He's only young as well, only 23 or something.
I think there'll be 1 or 2 clubs sniffing around even in the January window. Of course, Brighton, as we speak, I think they're about 2 or 3 points outside the relegation zone. Is he called Graham Potter, the manager? He'll be devastated if he has to lose him, but money talks.
Yeah.
He'll be absolutely devastated if he has to lose him. And I think a big bid in January from a club. I think Brighton, I don't know Brighton's finances, but obviously money talks, and I think they would have to sell if the bid was right. And I do think he's absolutely amazing, that Bissouma.
Jack Berens, one of my favourite teams for team shape is Southampton. What do you think of Hasselhoff and the team shape they have, Rick?
I've not studied the team shape too closely, but I think he's doing a fantastic job. He really is. After they got beat 9-0 by Ipswich, and suddenly they're in the top 6 or 7 nearly all the time, aren't they? I think they play with 2 wide men, 2 central midfield players, and they've got Ward-Prowse. What's the other? Romeo. Ward-Prowse and Romeo in central midfield. And I think they play basically a 4-4-2, don't they? With that Shea Adams and Danny Ings up top. I think that's how they play. They have Walcott on one side, and I can't think who might be on. Oh, Armstrong on the other side. So yeah, it's pretty much a 4-4-2.
Suggestion.
Yeah, I like it, but I do like it. Yeah.
Suggestion here from Bruno. Bruno the Fibber, we'll call him. He always puts himself as the best set midfielder in the world. You should analyse big teams we're about to play. He's mentioned Sociedad to maybe see how they set up and see where you. Yeah, they seem to have done, and then and also Liverpool and City, and hopefully tell us how would you try and beat them. I think sometimes there's quite a lot of focus on that type of stuff of how you'd actually go and beat a team.
Yeah. And I think I know what you're going to say.
I'm just about to say. You need to get your own game right first.
Get your own house in order.
And we're so far from that.
We're so far from it, yeah.
We're not... It's elite level football, that, where you can start picking out frailties in the opposition, really.
Yeah, well, it is elite level football, though, isn't it? But I know where you're coming from.
But at the moment, we're not really...
We're not elite level.
We're not elite level. We don't...
Not elite level. We're close, but we're not elite
sometimes
level.
We are. We pick a different team every game. Sometimes we look like we might be elite level, but
I don't think we will be tonight.
I don't think we will.
I'm wrong, but I can't see it.
I don't think so. Preyes Wraith, hello Rick, love the work you do. According to you, which position should we focus on in the transfer window to become serious title contenders?
I think we could. I honestly believe we could be serious title contenders if we picked our best team every week or virtually every game, and if we got somewhere near it. Look, these lads might prove me wrong tonight. When I say prove me wrong, I'll get my defence in before we start. I can't remember. But one lad's already pointed out that they've got a right back tonight, Wolves, making his debut, and they've got a kid at left back who's only played about 30 professional games in the French league. So Wolves to me look like they've got a weak back four out. But for me, we've got a weak front three out. I'm not convinced by Greenwood as a winger, and I'm not convinced by Rashford at all. No. Winger or centre forward, really not. But against these tonight, maybe they've got a good chance. Maybe we can win it. But if we just know what our best players are, Marshall is a top player. I don't know if he's got a bit of a knock, but I do believe. I hope I don't switch everybody off here. I do believe that Ollie rates Rashford. It might be as simple as that. I think he rates Rashford higher than Marshall. I believe if you think Marcus Rashford's a better footballer than Anthony Marshall, you don't know the first thing about the game.
Simple as that.
That's what I believe, yeah. Anthony Marshall's stronger, he holds it up better, he's better with his back to goal, he's better in the air, he's probably a better finisher, but I'm not having it that he's not equally as good. He keeps the ball closer to his feet when he dribbles it. How many penalties does he win? He's a trickier customer. I can't think of a single thing where I would prefer to have Rashford in the position instead of Marshall. Not one single thing. I think he's a miles better player.
Yeah.
But obviously, Ollie doesn't seem to see it that way, and it astonishes me. Like I say, they might prove me wrong tonight, but it's a tricky one tonight. They've got these two young kids playing in the two full-back roles. We might just take them to the cleaners, might we? You never know. We'd have more chance of taking him to the cleaners if Anthony Marshall was playing on the left wing. That's how we'd have more chance.
Mike Unsworth, hi Ricky. I was ridiculed for saying Rashford isn't on the same level as Son and Mane. Any thoughts?
Nowhere near.
Nowhere near.
He's nowhere near. No, they're just different level. They're a completely different level. Do you know what I think I'll do? When I do my player in focus, when I do my rating the ratings, which I'm going to do tomorrow, I'll look. I'm not even seen the game yet, obviously. But for example, on Saturday, I thought, and I've watched it again back, and a lot of people might go, "Oh, Dan James, he kicked one into touch when he should have done better." I saw Rashford kick the ball 8 yards away when the defender was 3 yards away. He didn't even have a chance of beating the defender to it. I saw him miss an header from 6 yards without even having to jump for it. I saw him strike it too high when he gave the keeper a chance to save it. I saw him try and play a square pass that would have put Dan James in it. It went behind him. I saw him try and control it when it dropped to him and it bounced about 3 yards. I can go on and on and on. Against Leicester on Saturday, forget the fact that he scored a goal. Completely forget it. Sometimes the ball comes to you. It just does if you're a striker. sometimes it comes to you. And look how lucky it did come to him, by the way. Bruno on the stretch, just got a toe to it. And he's got a one-on-one with the keeper from 12 yards. If he'd, with the chance that he missed with the header, look, he hit it well enough, but he gave the keeper a chance to save the other one. If he'd have missed that one, it was probably the easiest of the lot. Maybe the header was even easier. But it was a really, really easy chance that came to him. These things just happen. And they're more likely to happen to a centre-forward or a striker than anybody else. And it just happens. So the fact that he scored a goal gets him off the hook. Doesn't get him off the hook from somebody who understands the game properly. He had a terrible, terrible game, and he was no better than Dan James. Loads of you might be saying, oh, James was poor. Rashford was no better. Absolutely no better whatsoever.
It's such a lazy way to assess a forward player's game is by his goals and assists. I know they are important products, but they are products of playing good football.
Yeah.
You can't use them as a guide as to whether or not good football has been played by that player. Because if you're going to go off just goals and assist statistics, how on earth can McTominay ever prove himself? Or how can a fullback ever prove himself if that's what you're using as the guidelines?
Midfield players are supposed to get some goals. Fred's not got a goal or an assist in 2 seasons, yet everybody seems to love him. So everybody loves Fred, and yet lots of people always say you've got to score goals and get assists.
Yeah,
I don't get it. Get it. So Rashford's not in the same league as Son, not in the same league as Marnie, nowhere near. One more before we go. It's time to go and watch the game virtually.
Few things coming out. Rick, the Red Devils. Rick, do you worry about Cavani being isolated?
Yes, I do. Come on. No, but he won't be isolated. I think he'll have Bruno next to him. Bruno's, if you watch carefully tonight, without a doubt, I think I might have said this last week, at least 3 times in this game you'll see Bruno chasing the ball to the goalkeeper and making the goalkeeper kick it out. It's not the job of one of your central midfield players, and if they do happen to play through the press, it leaves you short in midfield. So that's how I hope Bruno plays these days. So he won't be isolated in that respect. Where he will be isolated at times, if you can call it isolated, I'll call it starved instead. He'll be starved of crosses into the box, I think. I don't think Rashford gets crosses in, and I don't think Greenwood gets crosses in. I prefer wingers who get crosses in for myself and get the ball into the box. One more before we go. Is there one more?
Victor Anderson. If you look at Real Madrid 3 years ago, they won the Champions League twice in a row. They had 3 proper attackers and are doing no defensive work at all. Bale, Benzema, Ronaldo. It's difficult to comment without going back and having a look at the team shape back then, isn't it, and seeing which players were doing
it is a difficult comment, and maybe you've caught us. What's the lad saying?
That was Victor.
Victor, you've caught me out, mate. You've absolutely, definitely caught me out. And I'll tell you how you've caught me out. Look, compare Benzema and Bale and Ronaldo to Rashford and Greenwood. So maybe it is doable. Maybe it is doable, but not with our players. It isn't.
Yeah.
Right. Let's call it a day. I hope you've all enjoyed that. If you enjoyed it, please tell all your friends. Please subscribe. If you want to watch the watch along, I'm sure he will have started now. Matt Goldbridge will be on the United stand, so flick over to that if you fancy the watch along. Massive game. Desperate for the 3 points. I'm not happy with the team. I think it's going to be a real tough one. As I said, I'll get my defence in straight away. They seem to be weak. The idea of 2 very young fullbacks who have hardly kicked the ball in the league must give us a chance on the flanks. If Greenwood and Rashford do not take their fullbacks to the cleaners today, we need to be asking questions why. So there it is. As I say, please like, please subscribe, and tell all your friends. If you didn't like it, keep stum.